Welcome. I have a message for you, and it has a lot to do with your past and where you are currently. When we have spent time in relationships in the past that had an imbalance in them, roles were reversed, expectations were askew, it was really hard to sift and sort because things seemed like they were normal, they seemed okay, but something was still off. We're like, what is that? Why do I feel left out? Why do I feel like I don't belong? How come I feel like I'm being used? How come I can't seem to get seen and heard? When I was growing up, and my parents were emotionally immature, it was impossible because of their lack of emotional development to see me, to see my brothers, to see any of us. There was 5 kids. And it was a struggle because I would go to my friends' houses and be like, what? Why does everybody seem happy and everything seems normal and the kids are all so well adjusted and nobody's like manipulating and controlling and freaking out and having drama and there's no chaos? Like, why is that like that in my house? And I really kept my friends at an arm's length because something was amiss. It was like, maybe my friends' parents, they lose their minds when the friends go home. I don't know. And I don't think that was the case at all, actually. But I have learned through the coaching that I do with the people that are just opening up. They're like an open book. They're like, here it is. I got nothing left to hide. And they're talking about how the relationship that they had with their parents was such that they felt needed and wanted and loved when their parents leaned on them for emotional support. My mom would wait till we're all 3 in the car with her, then she would drama vomit. She would tell us, it always started with, oh, your dad. It was like, oh, we got an oh, your dad story coming on. And she would lean on us to vent her frustrations. We were just little kids, didn't know what to do with it. We were just trying to sift and sort with underdeveloped brains in an adult situation that we probably shouldn't have been privy to. And when that happens, then we feel like the only way that we can get the love that we need is when our parents are in drama and they need us. I mean, ours was extreme. Like in the middle of the night, they would wake us up and have us come out and watch them fight and judge who was right and who was wrong. Well, we were needed. We were being included in a family activity. But you can see how it was kind of messed up, right? And there was a lot of trauma because when you were being used as an emotional support system for your parents, it also meant that you had to hold space for them and that there was no place for your emotional needs to get met. And so you just been going through life not getting your emotional needs met. Interesting, right? Well, sometimes when we start to heal, let's just talk about the healing process here because it is very real. It doesn't happen overnight. So we can talk about it generally until you're ready to do the work because you're going to need some hand-holding. But when you do the work, the healing process looks like this. You set your boundaries. You're like, I am unavailable to be your parent, Mom. I am unavailable to nurture you, Dad. And your parents may not be alive, but this is still the process. I mean, both of my parents have passed away and I've been doing the work since their death. Actually, that's what triggered it. Is my dad died first and then my mom died 11 years later. And that was what triggered me doing the work because the grief did it. Because my mom was going to be gone. I would never have that opportunity to have the mom I never had. So she was present. She wasn't absent, but she was just physically there. She wasn't there mentally or emotionally for her children. And she couldn't help it, right? Like there's a whole history there of what happened in her childhood during the Great Depression and having an alcoholic father. So it was what it was, right? But that's the thing is once we become adults, it's our job to do the work. So when you do the work, you set your boundaries because you have attracted people that are just like your parents. I feel needed and wanted by my circle of friends because they lean on me emotionally. But what does that do to you? it depletes you. You've got nothing left. You feel like you give and give and give and you never have somebody receive or giving back to you. You're not available for receiving, so there's no receiving. And I think that's the hardest part, is realizing that we might call it being a doormat. It's like, well, I'm just going to be there for everybody. I'm just going to give and give and give. And then it turns into exhaustion. And we're not getting our needs met. But when you come out of a childhood like that, you also don't know you have needs that are going unmet. We just think that the social norm is to be there for our friends, be there for our family, be there and just do everything for everybody and hold space for all of their emotional upheavals. And we turn into enablers when that is going on. And so we're enabling other people, but we are also enabling ourselves, because it's not good for us to give and give and give and not be good receivers. That's unhealthy. So doing the work, back to that. You set the boundaries, and then all of a sudden, when you see those people, your friends or your family, just go on without you in their unhealthy ways, all of a sudden your brain wants to normalize it. Your brain wants to, like, I take it back. I want to be included. I'm lonely out here on the edge of getting healthy. And so I'm sad that you guys are all interacting without me. My brain's going a little bit crazy, wondering what you're all doing without me and what you might be even saying about me. And I call your brain Controlzilla. You are not Controlzilla, but your past trauma brain, where it thinks there's danger that you're being rejected or abandoned, Controlzilla is just blowing things up. And she's created all these scenarios that are happening when you're not around, behind your back, what everybody's doing and laughing and playing, and the great time that they're having without you, because you've put boundaries in place and you've said, I'm not available for that kind of interaction anymore. I'm not going to just give and let you all use me. Instead, I'm going to say, I expect giving in return. And they're not doing the work, right? They're not available for that. So that's when you have to make a decision in the middle of Controlzilla, trying to control and manipulate what everybody's doing, where they're spending their time, how long they're spending their time, how much fun they're having without you, whether they invited you or not. Like, all of that, you're going to have to pull it in. You got to rein it in and scale it back and remind yourself you're safe. Something else that happens is if you do get invited in, and then you're like, oh, they didn't forget about me. I'm still loved. They still need me. And then you get into that situation and you discover how awful it still feels that they're just, oh, do you mind picking that up for me? Oh, do you mind doing this for me? Oh, gosh, I have just had the worst day. And they just launch into everything. They never even asked how you're doing. And if they did, they didn't really mean it, because then they just open up the door to talk about themselves some more. Then you're going to remember, oh, yeah, that's why I set boundaries. And this will be a cycle. You'll be isolated. All of a sudden, you're like wondering what everybody's doing, and you see it on their Instagram account. And then you're like, oh, I didn't get invited to that, and they're all having fun without me. This is a sign that you need to go get a different life. You need to go make new friends. You need to self-soothe, meaning meditation, not food. You need to reset your nervous system, hands behind the head, taking breaths, close your eyes, look to the right, wait for a yawn, a sigh, or a swallow. Reset your eyes to the center, left, close your eyes, hold it there 2-3 minutes, as long as it takes till you get that sigh, swallow, or yawn. Those are the 3 markers that your nervous system just reset. Resetting your nervous system is so important, because the thoughts you're thinking about have triggered your brain and sending all these hormones and signals through your body saying, we're not safe because they're having fun without me. I'm no longer needed. I no longer serve my purpose. Do I even have a purpose? I've been abandoned, rejected. I don't belong anywhere. I'm disconnected. All that is running through your entire body. So you've got to reset your nervous system. So now we've talked about the cycle. I don't want to belong to any of that. And please don't forget about me. I do want to belong. And then you get back into it and you're like, no, I just kidding. No, it's still bad. It's still not something I want. But now we're lonely. And it gives us time to reflect. And then we get sad. We're like, man, I deserve to have a mom, right? Then we get a little resentful. It's like, she used me. I never had a mom. I'll never experience having a mom that says, I see you. A mom who says, how are you doing? I never heard those words growing up. It was always, she would say, how is your day? And I'm not sure what I said because I was afraid to say anything because it was probably going to be wrong. And then she would launch into her day. Or she would just give me instructions. Well, put away your shoes and go to your room. Because she didn't want to see me. And it's called emotional neglect. Just so I need you to be clear on maybe what you experienced and why it's hard to make connections, why it's hard to grieve the loss of the parents that you'll never really have, that you weren't gifted a set of parents that could actually hold space for you and your emotions and your chitter chatter of how your day went and just the mundane things that we should be able to confide in the two most important people in our lives. So just kind of thumb through your friend list. How many of those people support you? How many of those people have your back? How many of those people are looking to see how you're doing and there's a reciprocation going on because you're also asking how they're doing and none of it seems heavy. It seems very easy. That's the support system you need, especially if you are going through the healing process, because the healing process holds that sadness of what you deserved and never had. And it holds that sadness of what will never be. And through that process, as you heal, you do get back into a state of, I have felt the resentment, I have felt the bitterness, I have felt the sadness, the anger, felt it all, wrote them all letters, yelled in my pillow, screamed at the top of a mountain. You've done the thing that has allowed you to express yourself fully about how you felt all those years. If you haven't done that, I highly recommend it. Some days I was like in my journal with a pen like this and just until I scratched through 4 or 5 pages, just piercing, because there was a lot of anger there. But underneath it all, anger is just loud sadness. You deserved parents. You deserve people that were emotionally available and supportive of you. And you still have emotional needs that you need to get met. So figure out what those are. Love and connection, belonging. Yeah, those are important human needs. We're built for that. We're not built for isolation. Everybody needs somebody. I have spent the majority of my life making it look like I didn't need anybody. And now I have a very important circle of friends. They are so important to me. And I love them dearly because they reach out, how are you doing? And when I express myself, they have ears to hear, and vice versa. And that is the most important thing of all, especially when you have experienced emotional neglect as a child. So if there's ever a time that you are feeling sad and alone, reach out. Be vulnerable with people who can hear you, not with the unhealthy people, because you don't actually have to set boundaries with healthy people. You only have to set boundaries with unhealthy people because they are crossing the line and they don't know what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. They don't know how not to take from you something that you're probably not offering. So just be aware, be patient with the process. There is resolve on its way. You can resolve all of this. And there's a bright future moving forward, becoming that healthy person inside and finding healthy people to surround yourself with. And that will be one of the most important gifts you ever give yourself, is to have that kind of emotional support in your life. You deserve it. Thanks for watching.